from the Heart.
Hello and welcome back to Horror from the Heart. We're on episode 15. And this time I'm here to talk about some of the stuff that you find on YouTube when it comes to horror content. Now, I know there's plenty of people out there who get into the horror stuff with YouTube, but there's still plenty of people out there who don't know that this is an avenue that they can actually check into as well. Because there's tons, and I mean tons, of horror content that's out there on YouTube. Anything from hearing the real life stories that are out there, like true crime type of things, 911 calls and things like that, to hearing made up stories that people do, like creepypastas and other stories like that, or just, general stories, to seeing short animation, to seeing actual short films and stuff like that too. And it's really kind of interesting how that dynamic just it works. It really does. So starting off with the true crime stuff, there tons of podcasts out there that do specifically true crime. True crime's one of those ones that has exploded, and I mean it has just exploded all over the place, everywhere. It's it's true crime bukkake everywhere. That's about the best way I could kind of put that. Because no matter wherever you go, podcast, YouTube, even, television and movies, there's tons of people out there who get into the true crime stuff. But YouTube in particular will hit on stories that you don't normally hear about, or you'll hit into other avenues where it's we're going to tell you about this true crime thing, but we're going to go into a little bit more detail with pictures or audio or video that was actually taken from that kind of stuff, which is really neat. So with podcasts, yeah, they could pop up on audio or something like that, but you generally don't get that. Most times it's just, whoever's sitting here talking about it. And usually it's a couple of people talking about it. It's because, we both get into true crime, because that's how people work. We like to communicate and we like to be able to work together on that kind of stuff. And we love talking with people who are into the same stuff that we're into. But with the YouTube stuff, like I said, you get tons of stuff that's out there. Anything from hearing actual 911 calls, which can be really kind of harrowing in a lot of aspects, because when you talk about true crime or real life horror, as I'm going to put it, you have a lot of different avenues that you can kind of go down to with either people who are doing mass murders or serial killers, or even like I said, with the real life horror type stuff, I go into the paranormal stuff because to me that's a real life horror. It's real life experience type of thing. It's not anything that's generated by something else, basically. That's one of the reasons why I call it a real life horror. But with that though, you also get the people who end up doing scary stories. And there's quite a few different little channels out there on YouTube that you can find. And that's pretty much all they do. Every single video that they do, it might be a static background, or it might end up being something that, they have dynamic background or whatever. But they're literally just narrating stories. And that could be anything from creepypastas, which we kind of touched on a little bit in a previous episode. I think it was when I was kind of explaining what I was trying to get at with everything for this podcast in particular. But they're just basically made up stories, to just regular basic made up stories. But some people too also tell their own real life stories as well. And you get these narrators who they straight out will just kind of give a good creepy kind of atmosphere to it. Now, I like to rag on that in certain aspects, simply because it's almost every single, whether it's a podcast or a YouTube video or even just watching TV type of stuff, almost every single person who does the narrations, not every single one of them, they all have their unique style. Don't get me wrong, I'm not ragging on anybody in particular, but just that general style. Everybody seems to kind of do it the same way, where it's it was a dark and scary night. Matilda was walking down the street. And it's okay, cool. But then you do get some narrators out there on YouTube, at least, that will take that and they will actually put some emotion behind it and put some theatrics behind it, which makes it really kind of cool to listen to some of those stories. Then you get into other things that are out there. There's plenty, and I mean plenty of videos that people put out there that are in the realm of real life horror, where they film like ghost encounters or poltergeist encounters and things like that. And some of them are really, really just creepy. And some of them you can clearly tell, oh no, it's fake, but some of them is, you could legitimately say, I have no idea if that's real or not. But because of how YouTube is, anybody can post anything up there. Now, whether it gets taken down or, somebody else has a way to be able to, go put a strike against it, to get it taken down in certain ways. That's another thing. But with that, though, pretty much anything in the horror realm you can find when it comes to that. And there's plenty of people who like to do like explanations about horror movies just in general. Or you have people who do list videos of like, these are like the 10 scariest movies out there type of thing. Or other ones where it's like, here's 20 little known facts about Nightmare on Elm Street. And it's really kind of neat to actually watch some of those videos just to be able to see that kind of stuff. Because it's an open platform and people are making content for that. And there's plenty of people out there too as well, or even small little production companies that will go out and they will actually make like short films and put them out there. Just kind of like, we're going to put this out there to test the waters and see if that might be something we might want to build a story on and make an actual feature-length movie on. Kind of like, if I remember, I think it was Mama. Mama was one of those ones where it's like they ended up doing a feature-length film on it from a short, if I remember right. Or Lights Out. I think it was Lights Out. I can't remember offhand. If somebody knows, let me know. Tell me, because I can't remember. But there was one of the ones where it had to deal with like lights and stuff like that. And my brain is like 8:26 in the morning here. I just made it back to the house. Had a long night. So my brain is just kind of like right now. But with that though, there's a lot of really good kind of short story movies that are out there that you can get some really good creepy stuff out of there. Some of them are way better than some of the actual feature-length films that are out there, because this kind of thing is, in my opinion, more like passion projects and things like that, and you don't have huge companies behind it trying to say, no, you can't do this, or no, we want it this way, or we want it that way. A lot of these are people who just have like their little small production companies and they want to make more horror content and hopefully be able to get recognized and hopefully be able to actually get more stuff out there, which I'm all for, man. The more horror we have, the better, in my opinion. I mean, I know we have horror in everyday type of stuff. They're like, no matter where you go out there in the world, there's some kind of horror aspect out there in somehow, some way. But just with the little films that they do, I mean, it's really cool. And so, I mean, with that though, I'm kind of curious if any of you guys get into any of the YouTube horror community type of stuff that's there. Do you guys watch the little short films that are there? Do you listen to some of the scary stories that people do? Or do you just go for the true crime type of stuff and 911 calls and things like that? I'm really kind of curious, because I know for me, myself, I listen to a lot of that and I watch a lot of that kind of stuff. It's one of the reasons why I know some of that. Like, there's plenty of like the narrated people that I really like watching or listening to, more or less. And, like Corpse Hudson, he's kind of blown up all over the place. And I think that was for other reasons. But that's originally kind of like what he started with doing, was doing like the horror narration stuff. But there's other ones out there like Blue Spooky. Blue Spooky does a lot of stuff. Man, you get Alter, who does little films and stuff like that as well. Or if you want to listen to like the 911 calls and things like that, like Your Maker puts out a whole bunch of those. He used to do a lot of narration stuff, but he does a lot of like the 911 calls and things like that now. And it's just one of those ones where it's like they're really kind of neat. And those are just a few of the favorites that I really like checking into when it comes to horror content that's out there. But I really am curious if any of you guys get into that kind of stuff. So if you're listening on podcast, follow, subscribe, share it, watching on YouTube, because I do put these out on YouTube as well. Just with the audio, I don't put any kind of video to it really whatsoever. Leave a like, subscribe, comment. I'm really kind of curious as to what you guys get into when it comes to YouTube horror stuff. With that, we'll go ahead and end the episode, and I hope to hear from you guys the next time. If you made it this far, thank you, thank you, thank you. As always, I really enjoy the fact that you guys take the time to listen to me rant and ramble on. And I'll have another episode out for you guys next Saturday, because these go out every single Saturday. Oh, and on last note with that, before I actually go, I am going to try and see if I can get some VR content up onto the YouTube channel to actually have like video stuff of some of the horror games that are out there, because I have definitely found some really, really interesting ones that are pretty neat. So thank you again for listening, and I'll see you next time.